now that we have the basics out of the way, let's move on to some ideas and concepts that will help your students become better actors and actresses. We're going to be exploring some ideas that will begin to help you on the path to becoming a better performer. These are disciplines that we can introduce to you, but will take a lifetime to master. Practice makes perfect, and experience is the best teacher. So, be committed in the development of your craft and get as much experience as possible. But these are good first stage in order to become a better actor or actress and deeper understanding of the process of acting. Now, the first area we're going to discuss is called motivation. Now, motivation is very important on stage. Motivation is the reason for what your character wants and does on stage. We've heard a joke before when an actor says, I don't know my motivation. And it's kind of a funny little idea. But it's true. You always have to have motivation on stage. Motivation can go hand in hand with the objective of a character. Motivations are created by what we call objectives. Now, we as humans are governed by what we want. Everything we do every day, we do because we want. You go get a drink of water because you want to get a drink of water because you're thirsty. You eat because you want to eat. You talk to a friend because you want to get to know them better. You see how in our everyday lives we have these objectives. We may not call them that, but that's what we have in our lives. And we are always consciously working towards an objective. Like I said, either consciously or sometimes subconsciously. Your character on stage is no different. You must have motivation for everything you do on stage. Why is motivation so important on stage?
It gives you purpose.
It gives you purpose. Now, what would a character be like without motivation?
Empty.
Empty. Very good. A character would be empty without motivation. It would feel very fake. It would feel very wooden. Wouldn't feel real at all. But motivation provides that life force that makes the character feel more real on stage. Your character must know what they want, and they must work to get that want in the course of a scene, play, or moment on stage. Now, this is called objectives. Motivation objectives can almost go hand in hand a little bit. Now, the three categories of objectives are this. First of all, the overall objectives. Second, the character's objectives for the individual scenes of the play. Third, the character's moment-to-moment objectives within a scene. A character must ask himself, who am I? Who you are is part of the objective exploration, but it goes beyond who you are and into what does my character want. That's the key word. What does my character want? Every character on stage wants something. Whether it's a conscious or subconscious want, they all want something. And it's up to you as the actor to establish these wants are. Now, how do we do that? First of all, ask yourself about character objectives in broad terms. What does that mean? It simply means this. What do I want in relationship to the big things in my life? What do I want in relationship to the world around me, to my work, to the people in my life? Now, these are broad terms and could be, I want to be famous. I want to rule the world. Or I want to show Christ. These are all real objectives, but they have to fit in with what your character is about in the play or scene. You can't have one want and your character be totally different. Like this. If you're playing a demon sent to distract someone, then I want to show Christ may not be able to work as your objective. But you can find one that wants to fit in how your character fits in the overall view of the play. Now, what could be a good objective for a demon that wants to distract somebody? An overall objective. Eric.
I want to get this person to compromise.
I want to get this person to compromise. Very good. That's a good overall objective. That's broad enough where a lot of things can happen, but we need to go deeper into that and look for different objectives within that. So we're going to start building, coming back. So we have the roof now. We're going to come down and look a little further down. The second part, B, is look for characters' main objectives for each scene in the play. You have your overall objective. Now we're going to scale it down one notch, and we're going to look for objectives within the scene of the play, in the individual scenes of the play. As you know, every play is broken down into scenes. Now, if you're working on just scenes, then this may be kind of where you're at in your overall objective. This objective will become the lamp that will guide you through the play. An example is this. You want to cross a river. That is your overall objective. You can't wish yourself across, but you have to do something. That's where your main objectives in the scene come in. How will you get across the river? You want to swim? You want to boat across? You want to walk on rocks? You want to look for a bridge? Now you have something to work towards. You want to get on the other side. You want to cross the river by, maybe that's your second objective, using a boat. So then you find oars that will help you cross with the boat. Break the scene down into smaller beats, or the whole thing will overwhelm you. Approaching from a whole play perspective is a big task. That's where you find the overall objective for the whole play, and then you find the main objectives for scene to scene. Even a sketch or something simple you do as a funny little sketch will have beats within inside of it. A beat happens when you have an objective change. Every time your objective changes, the beat changes. Now, the next thing we need to do, so first of all, we have the overall objective, then we have the main-to-main objectives. Now we go down a further step, and it's moment-to-moment objectives. You have these beats, you have broken down the scene to something smaller. Ask yourself, what does my character want in this moment? What will I do to get this objective? Now, if we look at our overall objective wanting to get across the river, our main objective is I want to get a boat, okay? Now, what is the moment-to-moment objectives? Can anybody figure those out for me? Where to find the boat. That's a good one. You want to look for the boat. Now you found the boat, you're in the boat, now what? How to operate the boat. Is it a motor? Do you have oars? Do you have to paddle across? Is there somebody pulling a rope? You see how those moment-to-moment beats. So you grab the oar and you start paddling. What's your next moment-to-moment? Keep paddling, right. Maybe you want to switch arms. You see how this begins to work in the smaller breakdown? Your overall objective versus the main objective, and then you break it down in the moment-to-moment objectives. Your moment-to-moment objectives are the little things that make the scene keep going bit by bit by bit. It could be you want to talk to your mom about being late, okay? You want to convince her that there's a good reason for you to be late. So what do? You make her favorite ice cream. So your moment-to-moment objectives could be you getting the ice cream out of the refrigerator or the freezer, putting it in a bowl, whatever that process is. It's the process, the actual physical process you do to make the large objective work, okay? Always define your objectives in terms of wants, needs, and desires. When building a strong character, the objectives are a powerful part of the basic structure. Your objectives must be sought out with strong personal identification if they are to be solid foundation for your scene. Let's look at the scene between Moses and his wife. Moses just came off the mountain and he's late again. His wife is always getting on to him about being late, and Moses always feels the need to come up with some lame excuse. He has had a real encounter with God, and Moses is afraid to tell his wife that, so he comes up with several excuses. Break the scene down from one of the character positions, to break it down from Moses' perspective, and find the overall objective, the main objectives that guide the scene, and the moment-to-moment objectives. Okay? Go ahead and do that right now. In this 5-minute scene, there are dozens of objectives. Finding objectives helps make the scene more complete. It gives the character a purpose rather than just saying some lines that someone gave them. Finding objectives will make your scene a lot better to watch and a lot more fun to be a part of. Okay, the next area you want to look at is using the fourth wall. Now, the stage is broken down basically into different sections on the stage and then also off the stage. You have your wings area, your backstage, and your audience. Now, these three areas here are walls. You have your 1 wall, 2 wall, 3 wall, however you want to break it down. But out here where the audience is called the fourth wall. The exercise we're going to do right now will help bring your focus out from just on stage and out into where the audience is. A lot of times we as actors tend to just focus on the action on stage or what's happening between people. But there's a lot we can do with the empty space where the audience is. This is simply a technique that actors use to help establish a stronger environment and sense of character of what the actor's about. The fourth wall, like I said, is the entire area where the audience is. And you can paint mental picture or a mental picture of bigger environments so that you can get the most out of a scene. One of the actor's greatest tools is their imagination. You have to picture the environment of the stage if it's not given to you, or the audience will never believe the environment is real. Let's say you have a real set with realistic props. You have a staircase, you have dishes, you have a table, all those things. But maybe you don't have pictures. Maybe you don't have a mirror. Maybe you don't have these things, and you want to use them in the course of a scene. So what you do is you put them out on the fourth wall. And in your mind, you make those as believable as possible so that when you commit to it and you begin to use those, then in your mind it's real, so the audience then believes it's real. If you don't believe it, the audience will never believe it's real. This is especially true, like I said, if you're doing a scene with or a play with minimal props. Now, let's look at the scene we just did with Moses and his wife. The scene takes place in the kitchen of Moses' house. The actress and actor must imagine where everything is located and do a lot of action full front so the audience can see. The actress is important because she makes the fourth wall the entire kitchen she normally works in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have one of our actresses show us an exercise in how to make the fourth wall more dominant in the scene. Lindsay, why don't you come up, and she's going to take the part of Moses' wife in this scene that you have in your video, and she's going to go some basic action that will help the scene develop in regards to the fourth wall. All right? Okay, very good. Now what I want you to do, Lindsay, is I just want you to kind of add some dialogue to it. Okay, you're waiting for Moses to get home. You're frustrated because he's late, something like that. All right, with your action.
Okay. Ugh, he's always late. He never pays attention to what time it is at all. Can't stand it when he does this. When is he going to be home?
Okay, very good. Now what I want you to do, Lindsay, is I want you to take that same action. You did very good work, and it was very believable. Now I want you to take the same action and, just make it on stage, not fourth wall. Just make it on stage. Okay, like your kitchen is right here. Okay? Okay, and let's add the dialogue.
I'm sick of his excuses. All he ever does is make excuses.
Okay, very good. Which one do you think is more enjoyable for the audience? Which one? The fourth wall. You want to use the fourth wall because it brings the audience into it. Now, there may be times where you have real props on stage, and you may be up here making bread at a real table, but other times you may not, and you've got to create this environment in your head, okay? You may have a mirror that you're going to look at. You may have a painting that you're fixing. You may have a tree that you're trying to remember about when you were a kid, okay? Now, when you're doing this, the important thing to remember is find an object that's solid out there. Just don't put it hanging right out here out of nowhere, all right? But like maybe the exit sign or one of the lights or something like that. And when you look at that exit sign, in your mind, make that the tree, all right? And that will help you to always find out where it's at. Because if you just think it's going to be hanging up there, it may disappear. You know, if I just think it's hanging where it's at, it's going to move on me. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? Okay, so find something solid. Create that endowed, which means given object, its life, and make it where it's at, okay? Lindsay, thank you very much. You can have a seat. This may sound silly and not important, but it's very important to give yourself every opportunity to fully understand the environment that your character is living and working in. So let's practice. What I want you to do is I want you to take an everyday activity, whether it's talking on the phone, watching TV, or talking to someone, or all these at the same time. Think about what the environment around you is like when you're doing it. Think about what your home looks like. Are you watching TV in your favorite chair? How does the remote feel? What does the chair feel like? What's out in front of you? Where's the TV at? Think about all these things and put it in your memory so the next time you use it, you can recall it. Do this and find an activity to do. Find one of the speeches you're working on. Find something within the course of a play. Now, take the speech and, again, do the activities, but put them out here on the fourth wall and act like you're talking out there, okay? Now, another great idea for incorporating the fourth wall concept is take your acting partners on a journey through your room and make your room the fourth wall. Come up with details where everything is. Walk them through it and put it out on the fourth wall. Now, we're going to show an example of this very quickly. Now, we're going to take our acting partners through a journey through your room. Somebody pick their room, and what you're going to do is you're going to paint the picture for your partners. Give as many details as possible, and put it all out on the fourth wall, and paint the picture for us so that we can see it. Chrissy, I want you to do this for us, okay? So let's start over here, and everybody follow Chrissy. And Chrissy, paint the picture for us. Show us where everything is in your room.
So I open the door here, but we can't open it all the way because my golf clubs are sitting right here. Right here we got a picture of me and my family on our family vacation to the Philippines. And right here is my dresser. Come by here, and I have t-shirts and...
Okay, freeze. Now I want you guys to do it. Help Chrissy along here. You're doing a great job. But I want you to ask questions. Okay? Also in this activity in your group, ask questions. Make the person describe in detail a little bit more. What kind of frame is it? Where in the Philippines did you go? What kind of golf clubs do you have? The details make the experience a lot more fun for everybody. So ask questions, and you guys do this at home. We're just going to give you a couple more seconds of this as an example. There you go.
And this is my dresser. I keep my makeup...
What kind of wood is that dresser made out of?
It's cedar wood.
What's on your dresser?
Right here we've got my little set of perfumes that I keep right here.
What kind of perfume do you wear?
BCBG, the pink kind. Okay. And right here we've got some of my makeup brushes and some cosmetics.
What kind of cosmetics do you use?
MAC stuff, so Not all the time, and this is my mirror where I just kind of get ready every morning, so.
What kind of frame is it?
Oh, it's just a big square frame here.
Okay, very good. Very good job, Chrissy. Now, one thing we learned about through the course of these questions is we found out a lot about what Chrissy was like. We found out about how important the family is to her. They take family vacations. We found out what kind of makeup and perfume she has and how she gets ready. So what I'm saying is these details will help you establish different character things as well. So it's important for the fourth wall because somebody's fourth wall in their house will be a lot different from personality to personality. Somebody with a lot of money, their house will look a lot different than somebody without a lot of money. So it's very important that you paint a great picture of the fourth wall and use it in your mind so the audience can see it as well. Okay, now that we've learned about the fourth wall, let's move on to our next discipline, emotional and sense memory. Emotional sense memory is basically what it sounds like, remembering your emotions and different senses you have. Actors rely on sense memory, the memory of how things feel physically to the five senses, and emotional memory, how things feel emotionally in the actor's personal life, to create truthful moments. Emotional memory is often achieved through emotional recall. It is basically the time in which an actor substitutes a memory from her personal life to create the emotional life of the character, bringing something back from their own experiences in order to enhance and connect with the experiences on the moment right now. Somebody give me an example of that. Amanda.
If you're doing something on like a death in the family, and your character has just lost a loved one, you can maybe look back in your life and remember a time where maybe you have lost a loved one and put that situation with your script.
Okay, what if you've never lost somebody? What can you do with that?
You can think of like a similar circumstance.
Very
where
good.
You
Like,
felt sad.
Oh, yeah, or somewhere you felt sad, abandoned, or something where the kind of the experience connects on some level. What are some other examples of it? Let's say you're playing a, let's say in the context of a church scene, and you've been picked to play the person who drinks a lot and parties all the time, but that was never your lifestyle. How can you connect with that too? How can you use emotional recall there? Yes.
Just watching people, maybe a friend that you might have had, or maybe you've seen someone like that, just pull that in.
Okay. Anything else?
Maybe from movies or different plays that you may have seen.
Okay. Now let's look at sense memory. Sense memory is the remembering by the five senses of the sensory impressions experienced by the individual organism in everyday life. These impressions are stored in the subconscious. The actor can learn to recall these sensory impressions from the subconscious by concentrating on the feelings associated with them. This process is similar to mouth-watering when one thinks of food. This is an example of your senses remembering the taste of food and responding accordingly by salivating. If someone reaches into a dark closet to get a shirt and they feel for the material, that is the senses remembering the texture of the shirt. By using sense memory, the actor can create a unique onstage experience that is true to the actor. For example, if an actor receives a script that takes place on the North Pole, the actor should allow the senses to feel the cold. Even though the lights are hot on stage and the actor is in a created environment in heavy costume and makeup, he can use his senses to actually feel the tip of his nose and his lips going numb, fingers getting stiff, and so on and so on. Now, let's take a few lines from a monologue and put it under different situations and see how you respond. There are some monologues listed within the course of this video. The young person here is dealing with being called to the mission field and is having a conversation with God. For the purpose of this exercise, we're going to look back for you reacting to sensory memory. So concentrate on how your senses would react in each situation. And let's show you some examples from some of the monologues we have. Eric, why don't you come up and show us first? Eric is going to do a monologue from the play Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. He's going to be playing the character of Doolittle. And Eric, what I want you to do is I want you to play the monologue in an igloo surrounded by ice, okay? So use your sensory to help create that. Takes a moment. What you want to do also is create some pre-scene. Set up the scene by just some actions first and then get into the monologue too, okay?
Don't say that, Governor. Don't look at it like that. What am I? Governors both. I ask you, what am I? I'm one of the undeserving poor, that's all. It's up against middle-class morality all the time.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Eric. How did it feel? What kind of stuff did you have to go through to remember that?
It was cold, and it was kind of claustrophobic, and so the voice is kind of constricted.
Yeah. Was there a particular experience in your past that you brought to help you with this?
When I've been out in the snow and it's really cold.
Yeah?
And trying to have a conversation and seeing the frost on your breath and just stuff like that. It's very, very constricted.
Okay, so it helped bringing a personal experience back and making it happen. Very good. Eric, what I want you to do is I want you to do your monologue over again, but this time I want you to do it on the beach during a hurricane. Okay?
Don't say that, Governor! Don't look at it that way! What am I? Governors both, I ask you, what am I?